There is a specific kind of silence that falls over a parent when the doctors stop making promises, when the prayers feel like they are hitting the ceiling and sliding back down. You know that silence. Maybe you are living inside it right now. There is a pain that does not have a name when it is your child, when the person you would trade your life for is the one slipping away. Everything else in the world becomes noise. There is only one question left. Where is God in this? That question is not a failure of faith. That question is the beginning of the story we are about to enter. Because 2,000 years ago, a man named Jairus stood at exactly that edge. His daughter was dying, his position, his reputation, his entire world meant nothing. He had one move left, and he took it. He went looking for Jesus. And what happened next is not just a miracle. It is a map for everyone who has ever waited on God while the clock ran out. Mark chapter 5 introduces Jairus with a title. He is the ruler of the synagogue. In first century Jewish culture, this was not a minor role. The synagogue ruler managed the building, arranged the readings, maintained order, and held deep community authority. He was known. He was respected. He was the last person anyone expected to fall on his face in the dirt in front of an itinerant preacher from Nazareth. His colleagues had already grown suspicious of Jesus. Some were openly hostile. For Jairus to approach Jesus publicly was not just humbling, it was professionally dangerous. It was a risk that could cost him everything he had built. Mark says he fell at Jesus' feet. The original Greek word is pipte, present tense. He falls, not carefully, not after weighing his options. He collapses, dignity abandoned, status irrelevant. His daughter is dying and nothing else matters anymore. He begged. He said, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come, lay your hands on her, that she may be made well and live." These are the words of a man with no leverage, no argument, no theology, just a father and a dying child and one last desperate hope. Jesus went just like that. No conditions, no sermon first. He turned and walked with Jairus, and the crowd followed. For one brief moment, everything was moving in the right direction. The miracle was in motion. Then it stopped. In the middle of the road, in the middle of the urgency, Jesus stopped. He turned and asked, "Who touched me?" The disciples were baffled. The crowd was thick. People had been pressing against him on every side. The question seemed almost absurd, but power had left him. He knew it, and so did a woman who had been bleeding for 12 years. 12 years of being declared ceremonially unclean. 12 years of isolation, exclusion, shame. She had reached out and touched the fringe of his garment in secret, hoping no one would notice. Jesus noticed everything. Now imagine what Jairus is doing in this moment. His daughter is 12 years old. This woman has been suffering for 12 years. The math is not a coincidence. But Jairus does not see a divine pattern. He sees a clock. Every second Jesus spends here is a second his daughter does not have. Then the messengers came. They pushed through the crowd and found Jairus and said the words no parent ever wants to hear. "Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further?" 4 words in the Greek that end all hope. Apathonin, she died. Past tense, final, done. The word sits in the text like a stone dropped in still water. And the ripple it creates is not despair, it is a test. Because Jesus heard every word and turned immediately to Jairus and said something that changed the entire frame of what was happening. Do not fear. Only believe. Do not fear. Only believe. In Greek it is me phobo. Monon piste. Stop the fear. Sustain the faith. 2 commands, back to back, present tense, continuous action. Jesus was not dismissing the grief. He was redirecting the gaze. Keep your eyes on me, not on the messengers, not on the news, on me. Jesus left most of the crowd outside. He took only Peter, James, and John into the house with Jairus. The mourners were already there, wailing loudly, as was the custom. Jesus said, "She is not dead, but sleeping." They laughed at him. They knew death when they saw it. He put them all outside. Then Jesus, Jairus, and the mother went into where the child was. The room went quiet. The weeping stopped. There was only the stillness of a small body on a mat, and the sound of someone who had walked through death before and was not afraid of it. He took her by the hand, and then he said it, 2 words, Talitha Kumi. Mark is the only gospel writer who preserves the original Aramaic. He does not translate first. He gives you the raw words before the meaning, as if the sound itself carries something the Greek cannot hold. Talitha comes from the Aramaic word for lamb. It is a term of tender endearment, a parent calling a sleeping child in the morning, the kind of word that reaches through sleep. Kumi means arise, get up, stand. So the full weight of what Jesus said to this dead girl was not a clinical command. It was a whisper from a shepherd to a lamb. Little one, get up, I am here. Immediately the girl arose and walked. She was 12 years old. Her parents were overcome with amazement. Mark uses the Greek word existema, which means to be completely beside oneself, to be knocked entirely out of your normal frame of understanding. There are no categories for what they just witnessed. Now step back from the miracle itself and look at the shape of the whole story. Jairus came in faith. Jesus responded immediately. Then came an interruption. Then came devastating news. Then came laughter at the idea of hope. Then came resurrection. This is not an accident. This is a pattern. It appears again and again in Scripture, and it appears again and again in the lives of people who walk with God. The path to the miracle almost always runs through the valley of seeming failure. The delay is not a detour. The interruption is not a mistake. God is not scrambling to catch up. He was never behind. The woman with the issue of blood was not an interruption to the miracle of Jairus' daughter. She was it. Jesus stopping for her was not Jesus losing track of time. It was Jesus demonstrating the very thing Jairus needed to see before he walked into that room. I stop for the forgotten. I see what others miss. I do not abandon those who reach for me. There is a theological word for this, and it is sovereignty. But that word can feel cold and academic when you are in the room with a dead child. So hear it this way instead. Jesus was not in a hurry because Jesus was not afraid. He knew what was in that room. He had already decided what he was going to do. The delay did not change his intention. The death did not change his power. The mourners laughing at him did not change his certainty. The cross had not yet happened, and still he walked into a room where death thought it had won. And he called the dead by name as if death were the one who should be afraid, because it was. Here is the invitation this miracle holds for you. You are Jairus. You have fallen at some point in your life. You have begged, you have felt the movement of God begin and then the awful sensation of it stopping. You have heard messengers arrive with news that felt final. What do you do in the gap between when Jesus starts walking toward your situation and when he arrives? You do what Jairus did. You stay with him. You do not go home. Jairus could have walked away when the woman was healed. He could have said, "This is taking too long," and turned back toward the tragedy to manage it alone. He stayed. He kept moving alongside Jesus even when it no longer made visible sense. Even after the news arrived, even when the crowd laughed, he did not let go of the proximity to the one who had the power. And that proximity was everything, because you cannot receive what you have walked away from. The messengers said, "Why trouble the teacher any further?" That is the voice of reasonable despair. It sounds like wisdom. It sounds like protecting you from further disappointment. But it is the voice that tells you to stop praying, to stop expecting, to close the door before Jesus has had a chance to open it. Jesus spoke 2 words to a dead girl, and she got up. He may speak 2 words into whatever feels dead in your life. Not because you earned it, not because your faith was perfect. Jairus was terrified. His faith was trembling. But he stayed. He kept moving. And the whisper that woke his daughter is the same voice that speaks over every grave, every dead dream, every relationship you thought was gone, every version of yourself you have buried in shame. Talitha Kumi, little one, get up. That voice has never lost anyone it decided to call. It will not start with you. If this video found you in a waiting room of some kind, in the space between the prayer and the answer, I want you to know you are not forgotten. The interruption does not mean abandonment. The delay is not denial. Talitha Kumi is still being spoken over things that look finished. If this went deep for you today, subscribe to Overcoming Daily. Every week we go inside a single story from Scripture and stay there until it changes something in us. Not wider, deeper. Share this with someone who needs to hear that God has not forgotten their daughter, their situation, their name.